Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We have quite a few online folks as well this morning, so I will try to remember to double check. I'm going to ask my folks in the audience to remind me if somebody does have a question or something online. So you guys are very lucky. This is the first time I've ever stood up here and taught anything to anybody other than one-on-one. So bear with me. It will be interesting to say the very least. Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. All right, so session 2, we had some homework from session 1. Anne had wanted us to go into the tracker and record the contacts that you had made into the database. So I am going to pull that up this morning. I can remember where to find it. Okay, I need you already.
Oh, just press escape.
Okay. Okay, so we had 3 that were successful in managing to actually get their contacts, maybe perhaps from their written form, onto the online one. We're going to go with that. Anyone, let me see. So Tom, I understand, is Taylor.
That's what I do. I have an unfair advantage.
Okay, there you go.
That's what I'm doing right.
So how'd you find that experience, reaching out?
Good. Well, like I said, that's what I've been the last 2 months. Just make sales calls and calling all set right now.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So you really have some one-on-one training right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you finding that it's being very successful for you? Are you getting some decent leads out of it?
Sackville's tough, but got a couple of leads. More so it's the build the base.
Absolutely.
And right now so
Perfect.
that's the main thing I think for Tom especially, and for us, because contact someone immediately. Yeah, size or something pop up, call you back, or you call them. Something.
That's basically, he's just taught the course today. No, I'm joking. But I mean, that is a huge part of it. And actually, that's one of the reasons why the database is so important to start it. Are you finding that your conversations with folks are going a little bit smoother after you've had the first few? Are you getting more comfortable in your speech? Yeah. Excellent. It is interesting, isn't it, to speak to complete strangers, especially, yeah. So are you cold calling?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's its own kettle of fish for sure. Not all of us are comfortable with that. So for those of you that are online, we're not necessarily suggesting that you all have to do cold calling. This is just one way that Taylor is starting to grow his database. Janice, you were very successful as well. How are you finding it's going? Guys, I apologize. I was supposed to take the mic to people and I forgot. So did anybody hear anything Taylor said? Probably not. Okay, kind of. No. All right. I'm going to give the mic to Taylor, and I will try to remember to do that.
So yeah, basically I have a bit of an advantage myself. The last 2 months I've been it's kind of been my job to be trained in cold calling, and right now we're building a database in Sackville. So basically what we're doing is we're sending out letters in the mail to every business, and then a couple days later following up the call, adding them in the database, kind of looking into the business, finding out kind of how much space they have, what they're paying there. So yeah, basically building a database and kind of trying to get in contact with everyone out there.
Perfect, and this is what this is all about. So now I'm going to go to Janice. How's it going?
Well, it was very interesting the first few calls, because I did try to do some of the script. So I'll be honest, the first person I called to practice on was my husband, which is good, and my sister-in-law. All he could do was laugh. He's like, that is not you at all. That does not sound like you. So I had to take it and molded into something that sounded like me, that I wasn't reading off a script.
Perfect. Yes.
That kind of sounded more like my personality and what I would actually ask, especially for people that already know me, who would be the first people I'd be calling for the contact.
Right. So speaking from past experience myself, I struggle with scripts. I can't read from a script. However, the whole purpose of, and one of the reasons why the first session wanted you guys to memorize the scripts, if you memorize it, it will sound more real. You may change some wording up, which is fine. You don't have to read it word for word. And the other part of practicing with a colleague and or your husband or daughter, friend, it doesn't matter who it is, it will make you that much more efficient at it, and it will sound like you. Basically what I did the first time I tried to do some scripts, no, I'm not going to do that. Settle down, everybody. Well, yes. The first thing I did, though, after I tried reading them and realizing that that was not me, it was not coming off at me, and anyone that knew me would be like, okay, phony gag. So I actually took the script and rewrote it and just add some, like I didn't write it from scratch, but I took it and just added some words that would be more sounding like myself, and that went a lot smoother. So I guess what I want to say in this particular case is when it does feel that way for you and you don't want to memorize it and still use those words, just add your own in there. It's still a lot easier than just trying to pick up the phone and not know what to say until you get used to it. After you've done it a few times, it'll just roll off your tongue. And I think that Taylor can probably agree with that after you've done it a few times.
Yeah, you definitely see what works and doesn't, kind of stuff that doesn't, keep stuff that does.
Exactly, and start with the ones that we call your Mets. So they're people that you know, and that will help you along the way. Shelley, can I got it. Because the other day I had to keep the chat. Yeah. Sorry, guys, just bear with me here as we go through technical difficulties. Just hold on, Tanya. Okay, we're just looking through to take attendance. We have to take attendance for these classes, so again, bear with us through some of this. Okay, so was anybody successful in memorizing their scripts? Okay, so we're all about on the same page. What about our online folks? Rebecca, did you have any time to... Negative. At least we're on. Yes, it's good to be honest. So we're all going to improve on that perhaps in the next few days. Just even if you just have a chance to call a colleague and run through a few of them, it will make you feel a lot more comfortable. What about adding some people to your database? Because I know there's only a couple on the My Tracker. Henry, goes fine, need to do more. Okay, we can all say that, that's for sure. Okay, so we're going to continue on and focus on the database today. Who has a database currently? Okay, so in class we have a yes for everybody. Shelley? Yes. Yes. Oh, okay. Yep, Henry does. Okay, Matthew does have on Paragon. Okay, someone doesn't have their mic muted. Oh, we need to go to attendance. Yeah. You can see by the mic. Well, it looks like it does though. Sean is on webcam.
Can you hear me?
Is that Sean?
It is.
Okay.
So I'm not muted.
Is there a way you can mute yourself? I don't know if that we can mute you. Where you're on web, it seems to be a little different.
Okay.
No, don't do that because that'll change it. We're just getting a lot of background noise here, folks. That's we're just trying to figure it out. Sorry.
How's that?
No better. We're going to take off the allow chat and see if you might have to type. Okay, Sean?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to try that for a bit. Oh, no, that didn't work. Okay. All right, Sean, we're just going to ask you, shut him out.
Anyway, I'm just going to say this. I have to run, but I just wanted to tap in, say hello, and listen in for a minute, but I'm off to meetings. So you guys have a great day.
Okay, Sean, thank you so much. Okay. Okay. All right. So, again, bear with me, guys. This is very interesting, to say the very least. Just move it. Just drag it from there.
Look up my Mac.
I know. Yes, Anne.
Oh, there. How'd you do that?
I just picked it up.
Okay.
We're good. Should be able to.
There. We're given instructions on how to make it. Oh dear. Okay.
Okay, we're off to a screaming start, folks. Okay, so as you know, today we're doing Build Your Business. One thing that I did like that some of the words, the size of your database will determine the size of your bank account. And that's very true because I know that any of the training that I've attended, the thing that every mega agent and top agent will hit home to us is that when they work their database, the business comes to them. And if you have business coming in and you look after your business, then it only makes sense that your database is going to continue to grow. Okay, this is the wrong PowerPoint. Yeah, I know, yeah. Would you go get Aaron? Is that No, no, because that's for my video for later. That's the instructor. That's the tracker.
She wants to get back to the instructor.
No, I don't. We never had it up this morning, I don't think. I think the wrong one got put up right from the beginning for the PowerPoint. Oh, hold on. This might be it here. Okay. Oh, technology. Okay, folks, bear with me here. All right. So there's some handouts. Has everyone received their handouts for today? So this just basically gives you some of what your expectations are. I'm not going to read that. I think that we all are able to read that and move forward. It's a good little checklist for you. So we've talked a lot about our context this morning. The note cards, that was a really good suggestion the other day. So if you're out and you've gone on a listing appointment, it's a really good idea just to send a personalized note after the fact. It can be a note card. It can be, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can just be letterhead, anything, attach your business card to it and send it out. People will remember that. As Ann was saying the other day, when you actually receive real mail these days, it actually has meaning. We live in a computer world and our inboxes are full of all these emails that, quite frankly, most of us I don't think even open anymore. So a handwritten note will always be remembered. Have most of us gone on to the KW and done our profile and set ourselves up in eEd for us KWers? Sorry, we have someone that needs to mute again. Okay, Monica has, that's great. Okay. What about branding your KW app? Has anyone been successful in setting that up as of yet? Okay. I really like the script that actually... Would you go? I gotta figure that out. Crazy.
I was just going to say that was such an easy in when I was calling people and just getting the script.
Yes.
Because everybody, I sent it to them as I was talking to them, and then they were looking at it, and it was incredible. So it was very easy then for the conversation to flow into the next part.
Perfect. And that, when I seen that script, I thought it was brilliant. It was the first time I actually had a chance to see it. It's an updated one. Because again, one thing that when you're touching out to folks to make them appreciate your phone calls and not get annoyed with these constant touches that everyone's telling you to do is being able to give them a value add. And that was a value add. I mean, who doesn't love the fact that they can have an app and they think it's really cool? And the spin-off of that is you might send it to your sister or your best friend, and they may share it with other folks. And next, you're getting leads from people you haven't even met yet, and then you can put them in your database. I've just brought Aaron in just to fix this issue with the noise that we're hearing from someone that's not muted. So bear with us. Just okay, and I'm not, that would be something if you're finding specific properties that aren't on it, maybe you can bring it to, I don't know, Aaron, if you could help with that and send it off. The KW app, some of the properties aren't showing up on it, Tanya's finding. The only thing I can suggest, and it doesn't matter whether it's the KW app, if it's our website, if it's Paragon or what it is, if you're finding that there's something that's not on there, you need to let someone know, because otherwise it will never get fixed. I don't necessarily know who the person is to let know. I know that Aaron might be able to help us figure that out. Probably easier than if you called me and told me, I'd be like, I have no idea, call Aaron. So. No, this is our KW app, Troy. But it would be, that would come from our KW site. I mean, if it's not on Paragon, then yes, it definitely is Carla. But if it's KW related, it would have to be KW first, I would assume. So I guess that's a good point, though, Tanya. The first thing.
Who's on the phone instead of on?
Okay, guys, online. Who's on the phone as opposed to being on the web? Can you just type that in, or we're hearing you, so maybe you just need to say it's me. Henry's on the web. So is Monica. Wendy. It seems like it stopped now, so I don't. No, there it is. I think they're trying to talk to us. So we have a phone caller that's coming up as a phone caller that's giving us some random noise, but we don't know who it is. Is it Sean? Sean signed off. He had to go to meetings, we thought. Thank you, though, Matthew. Henry, can you see where caller 1 is? We can't seem to see it on our screen whatsoever. I apologize, guys, for this, but we'll get through it. No, can't trace. Okay, I guess we're just going to have to keep moving on, and hopefully the noise doesn't keep distracting us quite so much. Okay. I was answering a question. Right. Okay. No, that's fine. That's all we can do. Okay, so moving on. We should be teaching class today on how to use PowerPoints in the GoToMeeting, perhaps. Perhaps I'll get fired as an instructor, so we won't need to go through this again. I don't think it is you, Wendy. We're good now, I think. Okay, so we've already talked about the tracker, and I realize that a lot of you haven't had an opportunity to do the online part of it. But even if you start keeping it for your own notes, the most important part of this is you really need to see your results to understand how important it is for you to do it. when we're in classes, we all say we're going to do it. We do it for a day or two, and then we fall off track and we get busy. And as we talked about lead generation in the first section, it's great to do lead generation when you're not busy. You get the deal, you run out the door, you're off and running, and then all of a sudden, once those deals are all put to bed, next thing you know, you're surfacing and you're going, okay, I don't have anything today. And it's because you've let your lead generation fall off track. But again, if you don't keep track of it, you don't necessarily always remember that. It's very easy to just be busy. I'll probably throw this away at some point. There we go. So again, we're talking about the 10-4. So that's your 10 contacts, which will give you 10 action items, which end up, well, actually, they give you 4 action items out of those 10 contacts. So your lead generation, now, this is going to be the fun part of the class today. You're actually going to make your phone calls today. So if those of you that do not have your laptops or whatever with you, most of us have our smartphones. I'm going to assume you do have some contacts in your phone. I would like you to take your scripts out, just have a quick read over which one feels most comfortable for you, and make a few phone calls. And it is a little bit uncomfortable if you haven't done them. For those that have already started doing it, this is just going to be a continuation on. So I'm going to give you 15 minutes to do this. And for the folks online, please do the same thing. Pick the script that you're most comfortable with. We have heard from Janice this morning that the one that offers the KW app is very popular and makes the conversation a little bit easier. And we will come back at 9:45, and I'm going to be asking for some results on this. So please record whether you've got any referrals, how the conversation went, and hopefully we'll have some technical difficulties worked out by then. Yes. Okay, yes. Hey, start making phone calls, guys.
my goodness, you went clear outside to make your phone calls.
So it's not quite 1:45. I just turned the mic back on. And so how's everybody making out? I'm going to start with some of the online folks first. Ella, were you able to make any phone calls? Sorry to call you out. You just happen to be on the top of the list. And she may still be on phone call. Okay, Matthew, how about you? Were you? Oh, there's Ella, sorry. Awesome. So how did that conversation go, Ella? I'm going to unmute you so you can share your thoughts on that phone call. If I can figure out how to unmute you. But for some reason, she's not showing up. Oh, I know why. Okay, Ella, you should be able to speak. Okay, so it was a text. Okay. How about Matthew? How did you make it? Were you able to get a hold of anybody? Okay, he practices, Monica. Okay, so was anybody able to actually speak to a real person in their phone calls? Okay, Janice was able to reach out to somebody. Sorry, I'm putting her on the spot again. How'd the conversation go?
It was good. It was good. It was somebody I know fairly well. So the conversation flowed very easily. But again, just being able to send the app while we were talking and she opened it while we were talking. And so again, it was an open door. And then she's going to pass it on to a couple of people as well. It was great.
And sometimes that's where we got to start. If I'm getting the sense for most of us that we are, Matthew's clients are mostly on the West Coast. So I'm getting the feeling from most folks that in the room, and this is very real, guys, that most of us aren't comfortable making these phone calls. So I think that the biggest thing I would suggest for the short term is pair up with another agent and or friend that you're comfortable with. Practice a few of the scripts until they feel real, and then just start reaching out to the folks that we would consider your warm leads, people that you know, and just let it grow from there. But the biggest thing that as agents that we're scared to ask is for referrals. We don't ask the question, do you know of anyone that's considering buying, selling, moving? It doesn't really matter how you make that conversation, but we do need to actually make it. And once you've actually got a yes and got a referral that turns into a deal, the next time you get there ready to make your phone calls, they'll come a lot easier to you because you'll see the value in it. This is a tried and tested system, so it does absolutely work. Oh, you were unable to hear Janice. Sorry about that, Wendy. Basically, she just said that, yes, she was able to get a hold of somebody, and it was someone that she knew fairly well, so the conversation did flow quite smoothly, and there was a little bit of excitement on the app, so her folks was quite interested in receiving that. Shelley, are you able to come up now to move things along? No, that's okay. So because of all the technical difficulties and my first time doing this, I've asked Shelley to come up and assist with the system. So Diana. So hopefully this will go a little smoother for you guys. Okay, so it doesn't seem like we're going to have any actual referrals as of today, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to come. Anyone that you followed up with on a phone call to, or sorry, anyone that you spoke to in a phone call, you can always follow up with a handwritten notes. And again, that will leave a really let's go to, well, I just talked about the handwritten. That's basically number 13. And I think that we've all been exposed to this enough times that we understand the idea behind it. No, let's keep going. I know. See my pain? Let's move that right out of the way. Just just lift it up. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, so the idea behind one of the things with Ignite, you continue to make your 10 phone calls a day and put these folks in your databases. At the end is that you'll have people, new contact names. Not necessarily point even if you don't have a database and something changes in your career with something, and whether it's just using Microsoft Word or oh, okay, guys, sorry. We love this mic. Is that better, guys? Okay, maybe I'm moving around too much. Okay, perfect. I guess I had it too far away from myself. So your database, just get it started, whichever format you want to get it started in. And as you go, one of the things that you have to remember that when you touch folks on a regular basis is it's just remembering your name sometimes. Many of these courses are based along the same things that when you mention names like potato chips, who do you think of? Kathy? Hostess? Okay. Lay's. When I say tissue, Taylor? Kleenex. So why are you guys remembering those names as soon as somebody says a word? It's because of the advertising that they're always doing and the marketing that they're doing. So that's why it's so important to get some type of regular communication with your clients. Because when they think of real estate, it's going to be your name that you want them to think about. And that's the whole premise behind this. Oh, we're way past yet. Sorry, I keep moving on. So I'm just as bad as Anne. I'm just going to go to whichever page I want to at the time. So, so on page 16, it is very touchy. Okay, no, because it wants us to watch the video now, I guess. We're really skipping ahead for some reason. Okay, we talked about the size of your bank account being your database. Okay, one very important thing before we do get to the video, because I don't know why that's coming up the video. What page are you on, 17? Okay, that's fine. We'll stay there. We're going to watch the video in a minute. Okay, we might have to fire Vanna. No, I'm just joking. Okay, one of the most powerful statements that any statistics have asked is most clients would use their sales representatives again, but very few do. And one of the reasons why it has been said that they don't is just not because they were dissatisfied with your services, but they've never heard from you again. So unfortunately, your name gets down to the bottom of the pile, and there may be a new salesperson in the area that's sending out marketing, and so their face and their name all of a sudden becomes the name that is recognized when they think about buying or selling, and not your name. So the biggest thing with your data, you do put them on some type of drip campaign, which we're going to do here very soon, or make your habits of calling them regularly, touching them with handwritten notes, whichever way you choose to do, then it's going to be your name they're going to remember and not the new agent that moved into the area and is sending them stuff. So that's why it's very important that you do keep track of that. There's nothing worse for a seasoned agent to get up in the morning and go on Paragon and see that, oh my goodness, Jack and Jill just listed with somebody else. Like, why would they do that? We had a really good experience. And I mean, you talk to any seasoned agent, they're going to tell you that this has happened. Sometimes it's because this new agent is their friend that's just got into real estate. But a lot of times it's just because they just didn't hear from you and they kind of forgot about you. And there's nothing worse than that, because not only did you lose that one particular deal, but how many children and how many friends of theirs and how many colleagues of theirs did you potentially lose out on? So while it may seem a little bit time intensive to get these campaigns and stuff set up, it is very important to do so just for that reason. They might not click and open everything you send them in an email, but your name is still attached there. So it's there, and even though you're not speaking to them on a regular basis, your name is still in their mind. So with that, we are going to go on the video, which is supposed to be organized. What do you look for?
Just look, it says it's on page 20.
Okay.
No.
That would have been too easy if there hadn't been. Oh, good. So I think Ann went through this the other day. We have to log on. So hopefully this logs on for us immediately. There. Okay, looks like we might have a video.
Here we have Nancy. She is using her database to lead generate. Because her contacts are organized, she is able to make effective calls that yield results.
Hello, Mr. Smith. This is Nancy from Keller Williams Realty. How are you today?
You can see that because she took time to build, organize, and nurture her database, her business is growing and becoming profitable.
Okay, so you're not moving. Is there anyone else who is? Well, we're going to talk to you about the inquiries you put in online for a new home. Yes. Well, can we meet at 2 o'clock on Tuesday? I'll put you down in my books. Thank you so much.
Here is Nancy. She doesn't think she needs a database. She has a system. Watch as she tries to lead generate.
Hello, Mr. Smith. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Johnson. This is Nancy. We met a couple weeks ago. You moved a month ago. I'm so happy for you. I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, is there another time we can talk?
As you can see, an organized database is your most valuable business asset. A powerful database produces productive and predictable leads. The results speak for themselves.
Okay, so just, yeah. So that was fun. And actually, I don't know how many in this room could attest to having something similar to happen to them, but I might not have called someone by the wrong name. However, I certainly have started to get into conversations and found them very awkward because I really was not focused and did not have stuff organized. And we're just trying to get back to where we were, folks, so bear with us. Okay, Matthew has a question. He'd like to ask the group what their preferred database is. Is anyone in here actually currently using any type of organized database right now? Okay, Troy's using eEdge. Taylor?
Something called Client Look.
Client Look?
Client Look.
Client Look, okay. Okay, and that's something that you pay for on a monthly basis, I'm assuming. Oh, it's commercial. Okay. Okay, so for folks online, that's actually eEdge for commercial. Oh, yes. I'll try to get better at taking the mic, guys.
Where are we supposed to be here?
Okay, Henry loves Evernote. That's interesting, Henry. I didn't realize Evernote, you could do, I suppose you can do a database on that. And Wendy is Morris Marketing. I can speak on Morris Marketing because I'm not necessarily someone that is able to discipline myself, because that is what it is, to do some of the marketing that I need to do. I have hired the Morris Marketing simply because they can send out a printed glossy newsletter to the ones in my database that I've asked them to. So for me, I at least know they're getting 12 touches a year that I might not necessarily put my own spin on. The preferred method would absolutely for you to be able to put your own spin on stuff. And in eEdge, there is the 12 marketing, 1 month, oh my goodness, a 12-month marketing newsletter that you can go in and customize yourself and send. We're already paying for anything that's in eEdge, so I would encourage everybody to start using that. And as you go, you may find that's not to your style, and you can do something like Morris Marketing where it at least is being sent out. So for me, it was the lesser of the two evils. Was there any other marketing sites out there that anyone's currently using? I know that we do have one agent that tried Top Producer and hasn't had very good luck with it. Just hold on a sec.
Top Producer Producer, I think, is a good system. The problem is it doesn't sync with Gmail. So I couldn't see if I sent an email on Top Producer whether or not it was loaded into what I'd already, my database in Gmail. So really complicated and had a sync problem. And it's really disabling when you're trying to get going with an Excel spreadsheet. You should have done this a long time ago. And it crashes and it doesn't work for you. So I'm definitely and I'm also contract too. Problems. Commitment.
Wow.
Something I'm not going to use. So, and that, it really deflates your momentum when you run into a hiccup like that. So be really careful before you get in one. I'm not saying that they're bad necessarily. I just had issues with them. And that contract thing is really a drag. So I'm just about to embark on a new one. And this is a good reminder to get at it.
So that comes back to having the organized database again. Sorry, Henry, I see that I'm cutting out. You missed probably me talking about Morris Marketing, that I do use Morris Marketing simply because this way I want to at least get the newsletters out without me having to physically do anything once a month to the clients that's in my database. Now, I do still have to take the time to put the clients in my database. So this is where you really need to discipline yourself and set your time, your lead gen time, and then stick with it. Troy does use our eEdge, so I'm going to ask his opinion on that because this is our system through KW that we're already paying for, so we really should be utilizing it.
Yeah, I mean, the eEdge, I find it's good just to keep track of the clients. It is a bit of a pain in the butt, to be honest with you, because there's certain things that it can't do. It kind of drive you nuts. But I also have Top Producer. I just don't use it. I prefer eEdge, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm stuck with it for a year commitment too, but I don't even use it, to be honest with you, the Top Producer one. But the eEdge I just like because it also has the KW branding on it, and it's pretty quick and simple. But there's stuff for their monthly newsletter, which I thought was going to be good. It's not that great because it only sends Canada stats, and you can't customize it. So, if there's anything better, I'm definitely open to it. But I'd like to send monthly newsletter with current local stats, but you can't do that because you can't customize the eEdge stuff.
Okay, I suspect there probably is a way to do that, but we'd have to get somebody that's a little bit more savvy in the. You can't. Okay.
Can't do it.
Okay, so sorry about that. I'll remember eventually to start passing the mic. Troy's just having difficulty with, he really wants to customize his and add videos and stuff, and so perhaps maybe that particular one in eEdge is not what you need. But for those of you that haven't started using anything, there's a lot of templates in there, and we're actually going to sign in to that here shortly.
Paragon. Does Paragon have anything for touching people, like besides the prospectus?
To be honest, somebody up there said they used her. But it was just for that. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a few systems that if you're using Paragon for the contact manager, I think that's just a good way to at least start getting your database set up. You're not going to be able to do perhaps marketing directly from there. So at this point, it was Matthew, okay, that was using Paragon for his database. But at least that's a very good start to have all your contacts in one place where you can literally sign in and get people's emails and addresses and stuff. If you start using the eEdge system that we do have, then you can actually start doing the drip campaigns where you can set it and let it go.
Wasn't great, but good as a database.
Yeah, so again, at least it's a database though, which is, definitely your first start. Okay, so when we're moving on talking about the database, a lot of folks struggle on where to get folks into their database, like where do we get these people that we want to put in there. Page 21. So I would suggest that as soon as you meet somebody and you start having conversations with real estate, you can simply start the conversation off and ask them, look, would you guys be interested in having a market snapshot to know what's going on in your neighborhood? There's very few people that would actually say no. So once you've had that conversation with them, you get their email address, and they might not even be willing to give you their phone number at that point in time. That's fine. Start with their email address, set them up on a campaign, and even just start sending the market statistics off Paragon, and eventually that may turn into a lead when they're ready to start buying or selling, because you're going to come across as the local expert. And it even just generates conversations with their neighbors, because if you have a little neighborhood where all of a sudden the market values have increased by 5% or 10%, and you've got one person that's in that neighborhood that's receiving information from you on that, they're going to talk to their neighbors, and you could actually end up with a listing from that just from having sent somebody something in an email. So it can be just as simple as that. Does anyone here do any farming? And I don't mean with a pick and a hoe. I'm just not sure the level of experience that we have for agents on this when we use some of this terminology. I'm not seeing anything from anyone online, but Shelley has.
When I first started in the business, the way that I would do farming was to do just listed or just sold. So I would actually go out and door knock in the area, up and down the street, and I would have a little flyer. At that time I used Top Producer, and that was very beneficial in helping build my business, because I was working in an area in Fairmount that it just kind of became my area, that I was the go-to expert, which was very helpful. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Shelley. And that comes back to the same as with Taylor saying about he was making all the phone calls and stuff to Sackville. So your farming is just picking an area that you specifically want to work and work it, whether it's cold calls, go out and door knock. A lot of agents are very successful with door knocking. It's really your own personal preference as to what you want to do. There is no wrong answer here. The big thing is to get out and start talking to people. The just listed and just sold, a lot of people are using just listed and just sold postcards. And again, all that content is on the KWE Edge site that you can go in and you can make your own. The templates are there. You just, they're very easy to use. Print them, run around the neighborhood with them. It won't cost you a whole lot of money, that's for sure. Really don't like this mic. I guess they're basically just continuing to talk about feeding your database, and I think we've kind of beat that one to death. We all know that we've got to get people into your database. One thing that we're not very good at doing, and that is actually organizing our database. So I'm not sure how each person would want to go ahead and start organizing, but one thing that's very important is to separate perhaps maybe your friends from your past clients. When you start doing a drip campaign of any sort and start marketing to them, it will be very beneficial when you add a name in, if you put them in the category that you want to market them. So if it's somebody that is basically just someone that's going in your database for informational purposes, perhaps you're not going to put them on a steady campaign, but maybe once a month you're going to send them the market statistics or a monthly newsletter of some sort. Now, if you've got someone who is an active buyer, you're going to want to be in contact with them a lot more than what you would be somebody that's just, them and you've put them in your database. So if you really start categorizing your contacts that way, it'll make it a lot easier when you do take the time to go on and set up your campaigns. So basically, it's telling us now to take some time and actually start doing that, but I know a lot of us don't even have our contact list with us. So at this point, I think the best thing for us to do is let's take a 10-minute break, and then when we come back, or during the few minutes that you have, sign on to your eEdge, and then we're going to walk through some campaigns. Okay? Yeah. It's probably about 10 minutes. I need to get her.
No, they're still, they're making calls. Have we got everything? Can they see everything they need to see there?
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Okay, so we're going to go to MyKW. Is everybody know how to get signed on to their MyKW? I'm looking at the online folks right now to make sure that you're able to get onto that, because I'm going to walk you through. Excellent. Oh, well. I'm fired anyway. Okay, great. Okay, so to walk you guys through this, once you sign into your KW, right on your home page, you've got your eEdge control panel. And if you go to My Marketing and you click the check mark, this is where you're going to find most of your marketing materials. I don't know how many folks have had a chance to go in and click and play around with everything that's in there. There's a lot in there. And I'm going to say that number one, please do not get overwhelmed with the content that's in there. Just go in, pick something that you know that you're going to want to use and focus on that and ignore the rest, okay? This is speaking from experience because I get in there and get clicking on this and then, oh, I like this one, and then I end up clicking and looking at everything, start doing something, the phone rings, I'm done, and then I'm gone, and I never accomplish what I set out to do. So speaking from the voice of experience. So here we've got your manage and your create your campaigns. So in theory, when you get into here, you've already added your contacts in here and you're using this as your database. You don't have to put your entire database in here. It's too time consuming for you. Erin can probably help you take your database if it's in an Excel format or something like that and upload it so you don't have to retype everybody. That's beyond me, but that's definitely something that Erin, I do believe, can help you with. The main thing is when you're starting out is to get your contacts in here that you want to start setting up on the drip campaigns. Bear with me, guys. Well, there's a couple different here. So once you get into this section, if you still stay up here, hopefully you guys can all see my mouse, and you create marketing and you go down to create a new campaign, it's going to take you directly to the 8x8s and the 33. So your 33 touches just exactly that. If you set this up, it'll be 33 touches to whoever you put on this campaign. That is going to be a lot of touches. Some people are not going to want that many touches. So you're going to have to remember that as you go through. Depending on how well you know them, you may decide to put them on the monthly one, and the monthly one is one where they literally only get one newsletter a month. But the 33 is great for somebody that you really want to hammer home that you're their agent, that you're there for them, whether it's buying or selling. So once you're in here, if you actually go down and go through them, you'll see there's the 33. There's 33 for teams as well. There's the 12 direct, and they're very easy did you know emails. They're like, you know, a couple liners. They're not overwhelming for anybody on their emails. They actually do work quite well because, again, it's basically your name, your face, KW, just that you are their agent. And if you scroll down, you can see there's all different ones. But what I want to do is just show you how easy it is to start. It's much easier when you don't have all this GoToMeeting stuff in your way, by the way. Okay, so let's go down to, we'll choose this one for your 33 touch. Now I can't see whether any questions. No. And we have our lovely internet that's working as well as usual. That's not really where I want to go. Bear with me, guys. Oh. I did that. I did that, but it did.
For some reason, I thought step that you have to add their emails first.
Okay, so when you go down to the very bottom of that screen, it's going to show you the steps. So you literally, this is where you can start customizing and adding your logo. It doesn't seem to want to do that here though. It's just showing us, isn't it? Okay, let's choose the 8x8. We'll walk through this. It's been a while, obviously, since I have done one of these. It's not hard to tell. You want to come do one, Troy?
I'm just saying, logo and stuff.
Yes.
Photo.
Yeah, earlier when I clicked on it, I thought that it actually did it here too, but it doesn't seem to want to. Okay, so once you've clicked in it and when you go personalize, this should be where you should be able to start personalizing it. Yeah, here we go. So we can see that we've got Anne's up. So everything is pretty much already there. You just need to add your stuff. And Troy is right. In the original, when you start up and sign up to KW on the eEdge and start putting your picture and everything in your profile, all this stuff should be auto-generated for you. I'm a little concerned that I'm going to mess with some of her stuff, so I don't know that this was a very good idea to start going in to her campaigns. Chelsea can fix everything I break. That's good. See, I seem to.
What do you want to do?
I want to get back. Okay, I would say you guys take a few minutes here and go into your own. It will be a little bit easier for you to start. No, yeah, well, eventually I do, yes. Sorry, okay. Shelley. So everyone that's on their KW, start looking at a campaign and just start going through them and seeing which ones that you may want to set somebody up on. And I'd like you all to set one email up on a campaign. And if you're not sure right now how it's going to look, put yourself as the person. And then that way you can see how things are going to look when it gets sent to your client before you actually start sending out stuff to people. Okay, so just take a few minutes and do that while we try to figure out how to get back to where we need to be. I don't think I should. I go in and use it every once in a while. See, this is all her stuff. I'm not comfortable with that. Okay, back to the parents. Okay, guys, I've just decided to go off some of the marketing because I didn't realize that we'd actually be going into Anne's stuff, and I'm not really comfortable messing around with her documents, but I think that we all should have an idea as to what type of campaigns that are in there. And once you set them up, you can set them up and forget them. So even if you put one person on a campaign per day, you're actually going to be doing better than if you don't put anybody on anything. You don't have to make this great, big, overwhelming to-do list every day. Just set some time away every day to work on this type of thing. If you do one a day, great. Some days you might actually get two. The more you do it, the more efficient you'll become at it, and the easier it will become. Tanya's asking if anyone's had any feedback from clients that are using this. For my online folks, are any of you using any of these campaigns? And anyone in the room? Janice, have you used any as of yet? Okay. Kathy, did you used to use them? No, Troy is, yeah. Okay. Okay, for those that can't hear this, Kathy was just saying, Troy stepped out for a minute, but Troy is using this, and he just received a very good client from this who he had set up on a drip campaign and really didn't think anything was going to come out of it. Did you say about 6 months, Kathy? So he had been sending them the drip campaign for about 6 months, and all of a sudden now he's out writing a contract with them, basically. So again, if he hadn't set that person up on a drip campaign, would he even know their name today? Would that person even know who they are today? So there's a deal. And I mean, it probably took him, once he got good at going in and setting up a campaign, it might have taken him literally 1 minute to actually send that person that campaign. Taylor, are you using the commercial one? Okay, same idea. Okay. Have you had any success using a drip campaign as of yet? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm listening to him, but you can't hear him again.
Yeah, no, we haven't been doing a drip campaign to specific clients, but we use MailChimp to send out our monthly listener reports to brokers and our quarterly newsletters out to 4,000 or 5,000 people. So yeah, we use MailChimp. It's basically the same thing. It's the same idea.
Okay, and I know most of us probably have received the commercial newsletter from our commercial division, and I find it's great because while I might not have anything commercial going on, I know that when I do, I know exactly who I will be given a call because we see it and we see the business that they're doing, which is great. So our online folks, so Richard used to, but not anymore. Kelly, no. Monica, no. Richard, the issue with most drip campaigns is that we set it up but forget that all the personal calls and coffee meetings. Very good point. Thank you, Richard. Because part of this that's built in when you set up these campaigns, you also set it so that it gives you a reminder that it can't all be internet. There's going to be every so many touches, you'll get an email in your system that tells you today's the day to pick up the phone and call. So it ties all in with knowing your scripts, and it will make it much more personal when you actually do the calls and set up a coffee date. I mean, that's a great way. Thank you, Richard. Again, for those of you that haven't figured out this is my first time doing this, I think you know it by now. Just a second, Janice has a comment.
Well, a question.
Question.
At the end of the year, when the drip campaign is finished, does it notify you?
Yes. I do believe it does. Richard, do you know that for sure? Does it? Does eEdge send you? Thank you. Does eEdge send you a reminder when it's at the end of its 12 months, or do you actually have to keep checking that? I forget. It's been a while since I've done one, so I'm just as guilty as everybody else. Have to check. Okay. Okay, great, Tanya. It does. I had a question for Troy, and then I forget what it is, but I'll come back to it, I'm sure. I don't know. I think we have enough time for that one today. Yes, it's so, and then you set up a new one. So, and you set up a new one so they're not getting the exact same thing, so the content wouldn't be the same every time. Okay. All right, so those of you that aren't using the eEdge, I strongly suggest just do it. I mean, 1 or 2 contacts, see what comes out of it. It's not that time consuming once you get going. And if it ends up with a deal like Troy is in the middle of a deal, that would be wonderful. Shelley's asking which campaign he used. Just hold on, Troy. Just hold on.
Yeah, it's a guy I don't even really know. I just met him a long time ago. I don't even remember how I met him, to be honest with you. And he just told me at the time, he says, I'm not really ready to buy right now. He says, but I just want to see what's out there. He said, but we'll probably do something in about 6 months. 6 months later, the guy called me up. And all I did is I just put him on, he gave me his contact information. I just put him on I think there was the monthly, the monthly newsletter, which I'm not really a big fan of, but apparently, what's that?
Then the Did You Know?
No, I didn't put him on the Did You Know. I put on the market one. Yeah, like I said, I tried that before to customize it, and I put videos in it, and then I contacted Market Leader, and they said, no, you can't customize it, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, but I don't really like it because it only gives Canada-wide stats. But anyways, and I think I put them on a listing alert too, which you can do on eEdge, which is not that accurate, but it was enough to keep the guy. He called me back 6 months later. The property we're looking at, I'm showing it. We actually did write an offer. It was over $1 million. So,
okay, and so that's from taking 5 minutes to put somebody in a drip campaign.
But the deal didn't get accepted. So
well, that's okay, Troy. That's not the point. Too much information. No, it's still a good story. And I mean, you are still working with them, which is the bottom line. So the one thing I would say to folks is when you do meet somebody, whether it's at your open house, it could be, you could be doing a trade show. I mean, these are all the places that you're going to get your leads from that you might not consider a true lead because they might not be interested in real estate at the moment. But when you start getting their names and information and start putting them in something like this, set it and forget it, basically. And I know that's not necessarily the right terminology because you do want to follow up, as Richard said. But if you at least get them in there, 6 months later, you might actually get that call that they actually want to buy something, and how cool is that? Just hold on, Troy, as another comment.
Then this is a counter story. Another guy that I met at an open house in December, he told me, he says, I can't buy until March. He says, but definitely give me a call in March. I forgot about him. I didn't even send him on a campaign or anything. I called him just last week in April. And he says, oh, thanks for calling me back. I haven't heard from you for a while. That's great. He goes, listen, great news. He goes, we did find a place. We already wrote the offer. I didn't put him on a campaign. All I did is put him in the database, forgot him, and then called him up a little bit too late. So that was my fault. So,
okay. So do you think that if you guys had to put them on a drip campaign, because Tanya's saying she has basically the same story, if you had to put them on a drip campaign, do you think they would have called you?
Well, anything would have worked. So, yeah.
And part of the drip campaign is you do get that reminder yourself to call them, and then that would have been your next touch. So it is very important that we start doing this on a more regular basis, that's for sure. Does anyone have any questions about eEdge? Anyone that's online or anyone in the room at this point? Erin's very helpful when it comes to eEdge. Okay, so yeah, the classifying your database, where the classification of your database is so important is actually when you are in creating your contacts, your campaigns. If I was still on the eEdge site, I would show you what I mean by that, but I just, again, using Anne's information probably, I realize now in hindsight, was not really the way to go. We need a teacher's one. Yeah, Richard's saying that you used to be able to customize the 12 this month in real estate campaigns, and I do think you can customize them slightly, but maybe not to the point, not anymore. They've changed it. Okay, so there was technical problems, Richard. Troy saying he called them. I dare say that, and don't take this the wrong way, Troy, but if you had have just kept even sending out the one that you might not loved, at least it'd be better than maybe not doing anything until you find, and Troy's agreeing, until you find the system that you do have all the bells and whistles. Okay, so the classifications of the contacts is important because this is where you can actually group them in eEdge so that when you start marketing to sellers, for example, the campaign is going to be geared towards sellers, and then you can gear them toward buyers. So, because there's no reason to send out buyers' informations when you're targeting listings. It wouldn't make any sense. You would lose them, and vice versa. Also, there's when you categorize them as just like a cold or a warm lead that they're not really looking to buy or sell or anything. The did you know ones are perfect because it's just general information. Sometimes it's like how to keep your house clean or just little different tidbits like that, but it makes it relevant and it gets your name out in front of them. So I don't know where we are as far as Anne thinks she's bad at not staying on. We're just more about the database, and it's only 20 to 11, guys, but I'm basically getting toward the end. Now they're asking us to prepare for your next lesson, and your ahas from today. I can't imagine that there's too many ahas today, except that you need to use your database. You need to have a database. And Tammy's not going to be a teacher in the future, I dare say. Technical difficulties, too much at one time, perhaps. Do we have any comments from our online folks as to anything that they'd like to throw in at this moment? Or ahas, yes. Well, I can't imagine that there's too many. Just hold on a sec. Tanya has a comment.
It's just about working your database. You have to. That's going to be, I mean, I'm speaking for myself. If I look at somebody who's successful, look at Richard Payne. He's working his database. And I'm not, so I'm not that successful yet. But I need to work it. You work it.
Absolutely, and that is what this whole session is about.
Sidetracked with all the other stuff,
And Richard actually sets aside, dedicates his time to do his lead gen, and that is another big part of this course. And speaking from personal experience again, same thing, Tanya, I get distracted, I get busy, and I don't set that dedicated time aside, and it does affect your business. Okay, all good. Thank you, Henry. Do not forget, Richard's a very good point, that this is a personal touch campaign as well. You have to sit face-to-face with people, and that is very true. And again, when you set up these campaigns, it actually reminds you to do that, which that's kind of cool because we do forget that. Matthew, is my aha is that you might have a database from a previous brokerage, etc., but adding the tools available on eEdge will make it better, and that is very, very true. Don't reinvent the wheel, guys. It's there. It's already for us. All we need to do is plug in our information, plug in the email address, the people's names, and click add. So looking at your next session, I think I'm supposed to give you homework, so bear with me here. Well, of course, you know your homework is to get your names in that database. So I would say that for everyone, make sure you do get out there and do make your contacts, get them in your tracker. Your next teacher on, when's our next session? Is it tomorrow? Okay, so apparently we have some, it is tomorrow. I think it might be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We are all so organized, none of us even know. Matthew's saying Monday. Okay, so just bear with us here. I don't have the calendar in front of me for some reason. I'm not sure who the teacher is. Okay, and what do you have then? Tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow, same time, 9 to 12. There's a few. There is a few, and then of course it's on our education. It is on our education calendar as well. So really focus on your scripts, guys, and making your phone calls and getting them into your tracker. And for those that aren't using the KW site right now, just even have it on paper, and bring your contact lists and stuff too. So that way, if you do have time in class moving forward to make some phone calls, you'll be more comfortable. Tomorrow, and Mike A is teaching. So tomorrow definitely is 9 to 12, guys. Okay, Rebecca's on the education committee, so I'm gonna go get Erin. Yes, it's tomorrow. Yeah, we skipped Tuesday because of the agent tours. Yep. Okay, so okay. Everybody stay tuned to the calendar. So thank you very much for your patience for you online folks. I greatly appreciate that. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Probably a good idea.